Hey everyone, we're doing some maintenance on the Chrysler. So I haven't driven this for about 3 weeks here, and I knew the battery was bad. But even though the battery's bad, I have had it hooked up to the tender. So I'm thinking maybe one of the connectors just wasn't on there right when I shut the trunk. And because of that, I can't even get the trunk to open. I can't get any sort of response from the vehicle at all, even when I go to turn it on. There's nothing. It's completely dead. So in order for me to get back to the battery, which is in the trunk, I have to figure out somehow if it's possible to crawl back, which I can, and open up the trunk with the safety latch right there. So I'm gonna go over to the other side and put down that seat and crawl back to replace the battery. And I guess this is a how-to of how you would crawl back. There's a latch there that you can pull. And now this is how you would essentially crawl back here, and you can see the latch to replace your battery in case it is fully dead, like mine is. So I'm a small person, thank God, but there still is just not a lot of room. Not a ton of room. All right, so here's there we go. There's the trunk release. Put it back in place. We'll, attempt to open up the trunk. So there's a little bit of light back here. I have to say, this 300 trunk is freaking huge. Oh my gosh. All right, it's open up. We're good. Wow, look at this. I have a ton of room in this trunk. You could sleep back here if you really wanted to. If you were homeless. So we're going to get out of the trunk. Here is the dead interstate battery. So I have to take this out, which is fairly simple. And now I can see why this wasn't charging, because it just wasn't on. But I've been having issues with it anyway. So, essentially, I've been keeping it on the tender, but now it just hasn't been able to. And you can see there's just a little bit of battery power here left, because the screen is lighting up, but still not enough. So, I've been having issues with the battery. I don't know exactly what's draining it. And I guess it's a lesson for me. I need to keep this on the tender every time I'm not using it. So what we're going to do here is take this battery out, unplug it first from the tender, and then take the battery out, which is pretty simple. You have, your nuts right there that you take off. It's very simple. I don't need to show that on camera. And then we should be good to put the new one in. So the first couple of steps here, I have a 12mm wrench, and then that is what takes this off here if you absolutely need to, which I probably will. It's not that hard of a step. That essentially just allows, you do need to take that off actually. And then the 12mm here is a little bit too big for this nut, which looks to be a 10mm. And then, of course, you can loosen up the strap, which holds the battery in place, which I already did. So, yes, as we could see, that should be a 10mm wrench size here, which we may or may not have. But we can try a 7/16. That may also work, which it is just a little too large. So it's looking like we need a 10mm. Of course, that 5/16 will be too small. So I'm going to grab a 10 millimeter wrench here quick. We've got our handy dandy 10 millimeter, and that will allow me to loosen up the battery enough. And honestly, guys, it's probably good to take off the negative anyway, just for safety reasons. But as you can see, it's loosening up a little bit here. And we're just going to loosen that up enough to where I can get it with my finger now. And then I'm going to pull this terminal off. And then again here with the 10 millimeter on the positive side, just going to loosen that up enough to where I can get it with my finger. Awesome. And we'll just kind of wiggle it loose here. Boom. All right, so we've got it completely disconnected. We'll just try to put that off to the side. And then we should be able to pull this out. I think I've got this loose enough. And we should be able to just pull it out here. And we actually have to pull this little drainage tube out. Right up top there. Awesome. Make sure you don't get any on your hands, which I might just have. That's okay though. And we should be good. So this might require two hands here. Alright, so I've got a 10 millimeter socket, and I'm just loosening up this base plate right there to get the battery out. And I've got a pretty long extension from my DeWalt kit on the socket. So what I'm hoping this does is, because I can't essentially budge this battery right now, there's just no way. So what I did was loosen that up, and my hope is once I loosen this screw up that I'll be able to, which this is in there really, really good. Wow. So pretty long screw. So what essentially that is going to do is allow me to take this base plate out somehow, and then I'll be able to get the battery out a little bit easier. That battery had been in there for quite some time. As you can see here, we've got a 30-month free replacement on this interstate, and this interstate here looked to be, I think, worn out at in 2 of 23. So especially when you're not driving the vehicle, I can see how essentially it would get old pretty fast. So for me, it looks like I need to switch out the side of the drainage tube, and then I'll be ready to put the new battery in. All right, it's the same process as how we took it out. So we just need to get this base plate lined up there, get everything hooked up to the terminals here, and then we'll be all set to go. And we have to make sure here, this is probably the most important thing, to connect the little hose onto the spigot right there. So we're gonna do that right now. And now we have the moment of truth. So we just need to hook up the belt on here, and then we'll be all set to go. But first of all, the lights are on. I just want to see if this baby turns over. So it looks like all the lights are on and we'll be good to go. Yep, she turned right over. Oh yes. All right, guys, we're gonna get this hooked up, but that's it should be pretty self-explanatory. And other than that, that's it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and it was informational, and we'll see you in the next episode. So like and subscribe, and take care. But we've got the beast back up and running.